Hello and welcome to the latest Niggle Podcast. I think this might be our 6th one, 5th one, definitely more than 4 anyway. 5th, someone's holding up 5 fingers. So it's FedEx Cup week, so the obvious thing to do is talk about the FedEx Cup, but we all think that's rubbish, so we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Ryder Cup, which kicks off a week today. We're all very excited. I've had some feedback from certain quarters and people seem to think that this podcast needs to have a bit more bite to it. So we're going to try and emulate Adrian Durham. I don't even know who he is. Apparently this is how they do things on TalkSport. So watch out keenly for the change in style. So what do you think? The Ryder Cup, is it all that? People say it's the best event going. People say it transcends golf. People think it's the only thing that can bring new people to the game. People think its tribalism is unique. But is it all that, James?
Yeah, I would say the Ryder Cup is all that. I'd probably say that the Ryder Cup is the best thing about golf. It's the most exciting event in the golfing calendar.
You don't sound very excited.
Well, I'm trying to be matter of fact about it. But just being completely serious, I think it's brilliant. I think it's really exciting. We get to stick it up to the Americans, which I think is what everyone likes the most about it, because it's a bit more like football. It's a bit more like, you can say, hi, we've beat you, you're rubbish, we're the best. It's just got a little bit of element of that to it, and it usually brings a lot of excitement. Oh yeah, and there's a bit of golf as well.
Right. So you're very much in the Ryder Cup is all that camp? Yes,
I am, as opposed to I'd be in the FedEx Cup is not all that camp.
Dan?
Yeah, my name's Dan, and I prefer the Ryder Cup to the FedEx Cup quite a lot to this year's match. I was reading a very nice stat just earlier today, which says that 56% of PGA Tour players, when surveyed anonymously, said they wouldn't vote for Hillary Clinton if she promised to halve their taxes. So that's just yet another dynamic to this particular Ryder Cup game in the year of Brexit and American presidential elections.
Sorry,
I just wanted a little bit more to it.
Sorry, I switched off then. What were you saying? 58% of what will do what?
56% of PGA Tour professionals would not vote for Hillary Clinton to be president if she promised to halve their taxes.
I still don't understand what it means.
So what, you're trying to say that they're going to vote for Donald Trump?
I think there's quite a lot of Trump supporting PGA Tour pros, yeah, so it's just sort of another angle to it in this very political year.
And that's why we want to beat them even more this year.
To beat them, innit?
We don't want to get dragged into... We don't want to politicise the niggle, do we? I think we should move on
a shot this week.
Step away from any kind of political bias. I'm not sure that any of our team are particularly liberal either.
No, we haven't had a vote on that. So no, I'm not quite sure of the answer.
Why don't you tell us, Dan, what you think about the Ryder Cup?
No, I was just trying to paint some background there in the Europe v America thing, and I'm just saying that there's a bit more to it this year in the year of Brexit. Coming to American elections, there's even more going on in the background, isn't there? And then there is, of course, at the front of the house, there is some golf going on. But I think I was just trying to explain in a very sideways kind of fashion the reason why the Ryder Cup is so interesting is because there's so much more to it than what we're seeing this week at East Lake, where as a group of people who love watching golf, there's nobody. We were going to talk about see if someone wants to defend the FedEx Cup, and in truth, no one in this room does, because. Well, I think we all just see it as a bit of a procession, and the same very rich players getting more rich that have been playing for the last so many weeks. And I'm just really cross that it is so close to the Ryder Cup. It's the week before. I hate the idea of all the players being sort of golfed out and go back to the old days where there was a couple of weeks break and then they all came into Ryder Cup week all fresh and raring to go, because to golf fans, most golf fans, the Ryder Cup is a way bigger deal than the FedEx Cup is.
Yeah. Steve's in the room. He hasn't said anything yet. Maybe he's a Trump supporter.
No. I love the Ryder Cup. I think it's brilliant. It's tribalism at its best. I like to think I'm kind of live and let live sort of guy, but for 3 days in the Ryder Cup, I hate everything about the Americans. Everything. I want them to miss every putt. I want them to put every drive in the water. For 3 days, I just want to see them buried. And that's like very much against my personality, but it's something about the Ryder Cup that just really gets me going. And maybe it's the match play thing, maybe it's one of the only times, isn't it, I think, that you ask someone who's British about whether they're part of Europe, and the Ryder Cup is absolutely everyone's European, aren't they? You just have to stand on the first tee at Glen Eagles 2 years ago and just listen to the noise, and that's what's brilliant about the Ryder Cup. There is no other event in golf that does that. Nothing. I look forward to the Ryder Cup more than I look forward to the Open.
So, I think what Dan's saying about the sort of wider, what's happening in the wider world, and Brexit and all the rest of it, I think that's quite a neat segue actually into my point of view, which is that I think it's just all just a bit pretend. Like, so we have just voted to leave Europe, and now we're all going to
Sorry, I'm going to interject you there. You can't say we have just voted, and as in like us, or as in golf fans, or even as our country. It's like nearly 50% of people didn't. So I don't.
Our country did. I think we have to accept that.
Yeah, I know.
Listen to democracy, James.
Yeah, but like it's all right. Carry on.
I really don't like the sort of politicising of the niggle, by the way. Like, I think it's not.
You wanted the shock factor, you've got it.
Yeah.
Carry on.
My point is that Britain is no longer part of, or will shortly be no longer part of Europe. Yet we are, the next week, all going to be tub-thumping Europeans.
But it's no longer part of the European political arena, isn't it? It's still part of Europe. Last time I looked.
Geographically, yeah.
Geographically, it is, yeah. Right. Yet again, we've gone back to.
You're not doing a very good job of steering the conversation.
Yeah, you've actually wound me up. You've actually wound me up now, because now you've tried to tell me that like I don't want to be European anymore.
I think it's very odd, regardless of whether we're in the European Union or not. Well, it's very odd that it's the only time that Europe performs as a team is unique to the Ryder Cup. It's a really strange thing, and I think it's quite a brittle thing, and I think there's quite a lot of things that are brittle about the Ryder Cup, and it relies really heavily on the players taking it seriously, and they all toe the party line in press conferences in the main. They all say it's the most amazing thing and they've never been more nervous, but hand on heart, would they rather play in the Ryder Cup and hold a winning putt in the Ryder Cup, or would they rather win a major? I think they'd all rather win a major, and I'm putting words in people's mouths, I appreciate that. But like as recently as 3 or 4 years ago, McIlroy said it's just an exhibition match.
And he played in one.
And then he played in one, and he overslept his alarm. We don't often get that in major week. Paul Casey's basically made himself unavailable this time round. So I think there's an element that and we all know that the tours make an awful lot of money from these events, and it's a very brittle thing, in my opinion, to be hanging your hat on.
Do you not think there's a precedent for this in rugby with the Lions Tour?
Well, I get that.
You know, where the Lions Tour, having been on one, having been to watch one, it's just one of the most amazing sporting things that you can do. And there you are, there's like 4 nations who spend basically the 6 nations beating the crap out of each other, then suddenly come together and like each other and go down to South Africa or Australia or New Zealand, where it is, and try and
I think it's like with the Lions and like with the Ryder Cup, it's almost like it's like a historical thing, and you know, like you with the Lions, it's like even if you it's not because I'm joining with my British brothers from Wales and Ireland or whatever. I don't really think it's necessarily that, but it's just the history of it and what's gone in the past of how the tour developed. And it's the same with the Ryder Cup, the history of it, and that's kind of what you're part of, and you're kind of writing another chapter in the history of it. And I think that's kind of what makes it like really cool, whether or not you're actually really into it and that particular Ryder Cup. It's the overall thing.
I mean, even the history of it is in many ways just like it sort of discredited itself, because it used to be GB&I. We got beat every 2 years.
Well, let's just forget about the history of it being the GB&I and just do it in a part of Europe. There's still all those classic memorable moments of the Europe v America matches, and every time a new Ryder Cup, it's kind of got all that history behind it, and what's gone on, and you're thinking I'm going to be writing another part of that, and I think that's pretty cool.
But it's sort of made up history, isn't it? Like the War of the Roses, Lancashire versus Yorkshire. That is like genuine history. That's a genuine rivalry. Like the Manchester Derby is born out of geographical closeness. There's like tribalism to it. And if Liverpool beat Man U every single time they play, Man U don't go, oh, hang on a minute, can we play with Man City now and form a amalgamated team because we keep losing? And I think we're going to get humped this year. But if we don't,
you said that last time.
If we don't and we beat America, then that's whatever many losses on the bounce for America, and America will just lose interest.
But that's up for them, isn't it? I mean, they're not short of talent, the Americans. You can't look at that American side. I know the 12th man still will be decided. You can't look at that American side and say it isn't full of exceptional players. It's up to mentality, isn't it, to them going and win. It's up to them getting it done. It's not because in pre-79, for example, there just wasn't enough GB&I players at the time to compete. Whether the tour wasn't. There wasn't enough depth in the tour. I mean, you could argue now that you could possibly go back to the GB&I, but that's another question.
But I mean, the context of my point is just to say that it's basically been sort of created to make it equal. It's like, it's a really close match most years. Well, because it is, because someone's tried really hard to balance the teams out. And like your point about the atmosphere on the first tee is like unbelievable. The atmosphere on the first tee at Glen Eagles, in my opinion, was horrible. It was like dominated by those plonkers from the whatever they're called, the Guardians of the Ryder Cup. And you have this whole thing where golf fans who don't sing songs, because there are no songs about Henrik Stenson and Justin Rose, just end up singing really cheesy sort of lullabies that don't exist outside of that 10 minutes on the first tee.
Yeah, that was absolutely horrific, but I still would say that atmosphere on the first tee at Glen Eagles, when it was sort of dawn, the sun was just sort of like coming up over the hills in the background, and almost like the feeling of it rather than what was actually going on, like those idiots singing those stupid songs, but just the getting there and just kind of walking up onto that little amphitheatre around the first tee. Did you try and tell me that you wasn't like spine tingling for you in any way? Because I thought it was like pretty special.
Well, I got there at 5:30, 2 hours before play started, and you couldn't see the fairway. It was full of people. There's no other event in golf that's like that. It's brilliant.
I was more worrying why we'd stayed in Carnoustie to go to a golf event at Glen Eagles, actually. What was that, our commute to that event? About an hour and 45 minutes or something?
Yeah. It was a 4:15 alarm.
No.
I think to get back to the matter at hand, anything in professional golf that doesn't involve the PGA Tour is vulnerable because the PGA Tour are so very, very strong. But I'm not even sure even the PGA Tour, in all their rapacious greediness, would try and kill off the Ryder Cup. Because everyone knows, the players know, that what they'll be remembered for is not winning the Barclays in the FedEx Cup playoffs, but it's their performance in the Ryder Cup. I mean, Tom, can you tell me who won the FedEx Cup last year? Can you tell me who won the FedEx Cup 2 years ago?
Billy Horschel won it 2 years ago.
What about last year? Right, who won the Ryder Cup last time?
John Speed.
Yeah, quite annoyingly right, but it's all here today.
That's not what Spieth will be remembered for his 2015 Tour Championship victory. Like it won't be at all.
But it's almost unfair to the players, I think, how much they are defined by a couple of putts or a couple of shots in the Ryder Cup, because they can be excellent for 51 weeks of the year, but if they happen to play poorly, you think of Stephen Gallagher 2 years ago, the season of his life to get to the Ryder Cup, and then gets on the first morning with a partner, Ian Poulter, who's way out of form. They get humped 5-4. He isn't seen again until Sunday. He then loses his match, although he plays pretty well on the Sunday, and he has no points from his home Ryder Cup. Will he ever be seen in a Ryder Cup again? Probably not. And that's unbelievably harsh. That the best season of his career will be ultimately, I will remember it. Sorry, Stephen, I'll remember it for the fact that he got no points in the Ryder Cup. And that's unfair, isn't it?
Poulter's the opposite example, isn't it? If without the Ryder Cup, Poulter's career is fairly average. It's fairly average, but because of the Ryder Cup, he's been elevated to almost mythical status, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has, and Monty.
Yeah.
I think my point's not that it's rubbish. It's obviously not rubbish. It's just, I just think it's quite an odd thing.
It's not all that.
Yeah.
So is the FedEx Cup not contrived then? You think the Ryder Cup's contrived?
Well, no defending the FedEx Cup. There's a whole different set of problems.
So what is good?
What is good?
Yeah.
The Open.
Right.
The Open, because it's like a genuine thing that's got it's always been how the links course is. It's got like genuine history to it, where that's the rotation sort of breeds familiarity, but there's enough variation to it. It's the right sort of golf. The Open is good.
What about this year when half the field basically had no chance of winning because we went out at the wrong times?
So I didn't actually watch Sunday this year because I thought it was too boring. But
it was not that good then.
It went, but this year's Open goes down in history as like the best ever finish to a major ever.
What? Just asking.
That's it.
Okay, well, I like the Ryder Cup. I think it's really good. I think of myself, of my own memories of golf, of watching golf, and sort of, 3 of my top 5 moments will probably be involving the Ryder Cup. Probably the earliest thing I can remember. I can't remember his name. Is it Philip Walton who lags the putt up to see it? And at that time, I was completely confused because I was like, hang on, he's not got that putt in. Why have we just won? And it sparked that interest of hang on, and I wanted to find out more, and then that's like, what was that, like 93 or something like that? So I was like very, very young at the time.
Tom, can I just ask you a quick question on this? How many friends have you got, roughly?
Do relatives count?
Yeah.
2.
How many of those 2 will be able to tell you whether we're winning or losing in the Ryder Cup next week?
Both of them.
Right. And how many will be able to tell you who's winning the Open?
1.
Right. So there you go. That's like just on that very small sample size. The cool thing about it for me that sets it apart, you might say the Masters gets to a similar level, but it transcends golf and all.
Just someone set an alarm.
Klaxon transcends golf. Klaxon.
Everybody I know will be that I bump into over that weekend. I'll be trying to avoid them all because I'd rather just watch the golf. But when I bump into people, they'll be saying, "Oh, the golf's going well," or "That was good," or "Rory's doing well," or "What happened to Phil Mickelson yesterday?" And so it's like a really cool thing, because for once, like, golf is like the headline news. Like, you'll put 5 Live on Saturday morning, and for once, instead of whittling on about that day's football, they'll be talking about the golf, and they'll have Ian Carter on, and you just feel that it's part of the mainstream, and your sport is the one that everyone's talking about. That's brilliant.
Well, I don't disagree with any of that, and the reason I'm playing golf is because of the Kiowa Ryder Cup, and that's my earliest memory, and I watched it on a little portable TV in my own bedroom because it was on blooming BBC. It's not anymore, is it? And my parents don't play golf, so it was my route into the game. But my point is, it's weird, and like it's based on something that is effectively created. The European sports team doesn't exist in any other thing. You're saying the tours are not going to bring it down. The European Tour certainly isn't, but the PGA Tour is trying pretty hard this year by ending its event during Ryder Cup week. So what happens if it's £20 million for the FedEx Cup next year and they can't fit it in?
Well, I mean, everything's weird. I mean, if you just like say the same word again and again and again, it just starts to sound really weird, doesn't it? I mean, lots of sports are just a very bizarre set of customs and rules and people, and then you put them together and it somehow works. Like, that's sport, isn't it? So everything's weird in that respect. So the way that the Ryder Cup's happened to make it close, it's quite strange, and we can argue, and I would argue that the format is actually a bit silly because there are far too many points available on the last day relative to the first couple of days. But that's the point, that you're almost guaranteed a close finish, and that makes great sport and great theatre.
Again, I don't disagree with any of that. Like, it is great theatre, it is great sport, but I just think that the thing that it's based on, and what I do disagree with you about, is I don't think everything's weird. I think the Roses cricket match is not weird because it's a geographical rivalry. The Manchester Derby, the same thing. The Glasgow Derby.
Why is it not weird in football that Manchester United v Man City is this tribal thing between Man City and Man United fans, yet none of the players on either side have got any. They're not born in Manchester. Rashford, they're not born in Manchester. It's just a group of maverick mercenaries from across the world that are now playing for these teams. Is that not weird?
That is detracting from the value of it, absolutely. But for the fans, it's still proper. Because they live there. Because it's
because it's a historical thing.
I think with America, like, it's hard to beat America at stuff, isn't it? And certainly in the last 100 years, like, America is like the dominant nation. So there is anything where you can bring America down a peg or two, or try to, is like really compelling. And in golf, in the last 30 40 years, whatever it is, you've basically had two tours that people can play golf on. You've had the European Tour and you've had the American Tour. And the American Tour is the one with all the money and all of the prestige, and the one that it's hard to go and play on. And if you're traditionally, if you were an outsider, you were from another country, then you weren't necessarily welcomed onto that tour because you were taking money off them. So there is a natural rivalry in golf in that sense. 3 majors are in America, aren't they? Like all the best golf week in, week out in America, and we just get this one chance. So the only other chance we get to play the Open, this one chance where we can be better than America and give them bloody nose.
That's sort of moving closer to my point, because the idea
it wasn't meant to.
No, I know it wasn't meant to, but the idea of American dominance, the idea of American dominance in golf, that is shifting, isn't it? So like, there's no Jason Day next week, there's no Adam Scott next week.
They can't play. 2
of the best players in the world are not eligible for what's supposed to be the absolute pinnacle of our sport, according to you lot.
Well, they can't play the President's Cup.
Which has not caught on to anything like the same degree as the Ryder Cup.
Well, because the Americans keep winning it, that's why.
Hallelujah.
That's why the Americans
playing the President's Cup. So over here, that's a bit of a...
It's like saying we win the bloody Seve Trophy or whatever. Well,
again, but like so I think the closest thing to it is the Ashes, actually, which sort of sets apart, like, Test cricket's dying, but the Ashes sort of remains a date in the calendar that all cricket fans look out for. The rivalry means something to both teams and both sets of fans. But even that is like brittle in the sense that because Test cricket's moving away, that we keep getting teams turning up undercooked, the format of the tournament is, I would say, in question because people are moving away from it. I think you just need to be very careful with things like the Ryder Cup, where it's not the same status as a major because it's not individual, and the terms of the tournament are basically made up to make the event a success. So it's not beyond the realms, I don't think, that in 10 Ryder Cups time that it will be rest of the world versus the USA, or the teams will be different.
Well, no, it'll be rest of the world, be Europe if it keeps going the way it's going, because they're the ones that need the help because they've lost the last 3, and if they've lost 5 in a row, they might say, well, let America have, Asia.
Australia.
We'll have Australia, they can have Asia.
The Ryder Cup is not in crisis at the moment. Like
it's not.
It is manufacturing now. That might change in the future, but it ain't in crisis.
And I think with this particular Ryder Cup, the inclusion of Tiger Woods as a vice captain for the American team means that it's going to be even bigger than it was in the last 2 years, for example, because. Tiger Woods, and golf. He's still the biggest draw in the game at the moment, and the fact that he's involved will make it of more interest than the last Ryder Cup, for example.
We'll see more of Tiger, won't we? We'll lose some of the shots.
Well, I hope so. It's weird. Like, you kind of want to kind of see Tiger. You kind of want to see him running about on buggies and saying stuff in walkie-talkies. It's kind of like that's what you want to see, which is a bit weird since he's not even playing. Kind of like more interested in seeing that than I'm about how Chris Wood gets on in his first 4 balls match.
So we're going to do predictions and who's going to win and first pairings and all that nonsense in our podcast on Monday. This is just a sort of a little wetter of the appetite. Sort of, what are they called? Hors d'oeuvres.
Yeah. Aperitif.
No, that's African.
Aperitif.
That's aperitif.
Aperitif.
This is just aperitif. I think that sort of brings us to a fairly natural conclusion, and next week we are going to take a close look at the upcoming Ryder Cup and get into things like who we think the first pairings are going to be and who's going to be the top point scorer. So do watch out for that. But I think it would be remiss not to round off this amuse-bouche of a Ryder Cup niggle without a little round of predictions. Do you want to kick us off, Steve?
I'm going to be throwing things at the TV if it happens, and I'll generally be in a bad mood for the next 2 years. I think America by 4 points.
By 4 points?
Yeah, I think their team's just too strong.
Right. And who's going to hold a winning putt then?
I think middle of the order. It'll probably be someone like Patrick Reed.
Oh yeah, that'd be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that'd be great, wouldn't it? Yeah, I think. That's pretty much how I'm seeing it. I actually could see quite a big American win. I just wonder if they did happen to start well, with all our rookies and a couple of old timers maybe not quite at their best, I just wonder if I could just see a scenario where our team suddenly doesn't have an awful lot to it, and I do think there are going to be some big performances from guys like Dustin Johnson and Patrick Reed. Brooks Koepka, I think, is going to be decent. I just can see an awful lot of points coming from that American team, and I do wonder if just think quite a few things have gone our way in recent Ryder Cups, and I wonder if they might not in this one. I'm not sure I want that to happen, or I definitely don't want that to happen, but I just think it might.
So sorry, you lost me there.
So I think I can see America winning with some comfort.
With
Southern comfort.
Southern comfort, yeah.
Okay. I think America are going to win, but I think it's going to be really, really close, because I think that the fact we've got rookies, I don't think it's matters. I think we can just put out strong pairings, to start with, almost like get our big guns playing as often as possible. So, the likes of Stenson, Rose, McIlroy, pretty much playing every match, will mean we'll be within 2 or 3 points going into the singles.
But Rose will wear his medal through the whole week.
I'd like to think so. I'd like
worse than Redgrave, isn't he, for getting his medal out?
Yeah, I'd like to think he'd have it on at all times.
Do you think it'll be built into the team shirt? There'll be a gold band on his shirt, like they get a star if you win the World Cup.
Yeah, Rose has got a gold star on his shirt. Yeah, a couple of points in it going into the singles, and then America will narrowly win it with someone going out late, holding their winning putt. Who are they going to send out late? Jordan Spieth holds a winning putt from 20.
Does generally hold putts.
Yeah, from Jordan Spieth from 20 feet to beat Andy Sullivan again.
Yeah. Was Donaldson's a gimme at Glenny?
It was, yeah.
So no one held a winning putt.
No, it was a winning wedge.
We'll add that list to the list of things that are bizarre about the Ryder Cup. You don't have to hold a putt.
Well, that's what
you don't have to hold a putt to win it.
We talked about that, about my Philip Walton moment, which got glossed over, and I thought we were going to start talking about our favourite memories, and then all of a sudden we dived away from it. And
back to the politics, wasn't it?
Yeah. So it's weird. The whole point was it's weird that we won the Ryder Cup without even having to get the ball in the hole, and I was like, what's that all about?
That should be on our list of reasons it's not good.
Yeah. Anyway, Spieth holds the winning putt, and America win narrowly.
Come on, Tom, we're just waiting for this.
I think we're going to absolutely hump. I think they'll call the singles off 16-0 on Saturday night.
We'll throw in the towel.
Yeah.
Darren Clark will throw in the Guinness or something.
Send out Tiger and Clark play an exhibition match because everyone else will have gone home. 16-0, and then some sort of asterisk by signals were not played.
And then Brexit will actually happen the next day. They'll force it through.
What do all these social media politicians keep saying? They're going to exercise Article 5, whatever it is. What is it called? 50.
Yeah.
Oh, that bombshell.
Adrian Durham, eat your heart out. See you Monday if you dare.
Bye-bye.
Bye.